and welcome back to the channel, and thanks for joining me on this journey. The final theme for EMS week in 2023 is EMS recognition. For today's video, we're actually going to check out a video about change in EMS. It's by the channel The Paramedic Coach, who has some really good courses for anyone getting into the field. And this is from a podcast where he discusses some of his ideas on change that could happen in EMS. Changes always happen. Things change all the time. Protocols change. National Registry changes. All kinds of things change all the time. New medicine, new ideas. So it intrigued me what his ideas were. Let's just check it out and see what he thinks, and maybe any of you guys have some ideas as well. Link to this original will be in the description below. All right, let's go.
So as the paramedic coach, I get asked a lot, what would you change about EMS? Well, there's a lot of things to cover, but in this podcast, I want to cover one specific thing that I would change about EMS because I believe it can be done. I don't see why it can't be done. And I've literally thought about this since I started as an EMT. And once I learned about all the ranks and levels, I was like, why isn't it just more simple like this? So I'm going to share my thoughts with you. I really would love your feedback on this. How would you change this? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? I love to hear your feedback on this because to me, it makes perfect sense. I love to hear what you all think about this. So as you know, in the ambulance service, there are 4 main ranks.
4.
So these are national, NREMT ranks. So we have the EMR, which is the emergency medical responder. So the emergency medical responder, that is typically, not a rule, but typically you'll see some volunteer fire department members, volunteer EMS members, someone who is tasked with driving the ambulance, whether it's a volunteer, for example, or again, more volunteers. Also, you'll see police officers, other first responder personnel, could even be security officers, have an EMR certification, camps, stuff like that. The emergency medical responder certification technically is the first rank in the ambulance service. Now, most paid EMS agencies skip that.
Yes.
And
that's usually true. Well, I won't say usually. I'm going to guess it's almost always true, but he just said most. The EMR is going to be your lowest rank here, and I use rank liberally, but basically what he's saying, what it is like a lot of volunteers. It's your basic level of first aid, and it's your QRS, your quick response. They're going to be first on scene, plus police and fire, police as well. There are a lot of times first on scene. They get basic first aid training until the paramedics and EMTs show up. Basically, that's the bottom level in National Registry recognition.
And go right into the emergency medical technician or EMT level. So this EMT level is what we call basic life support.
Right.
This covers all of your CPR, AED, gets into basic airway and ventilation. Obviously, this covers the full gamut of BLS, which, airway, respiration, ventilation, physiology, cardiology, and resus. You have a small but variety of medications that you can use, of course, at the BLS level. Stuff like oxygen, activated charcoal, aspirin, albuterol in some areas, CPAP, for example. So a lot of oxygen airway devices, for example.
Yeah, National Registry for EMT level recognizes 7 medicines, and then after that, it's completely up to the state. For instance, here in Pennsylvania, where I live, as an EMT, there's some of those medicines, especially in my particular agency that we are with, we are limited to 2 medicines, not including oxygen. But oxygen is considered a medicine of the 7. And that's mostly because in our agency here, we have paramedics that show up to every call, so all the other medicines can be handled by them. I'm guessing that's the reason.
They'll use splinting, that's even EMR as well. To get to the point, this is the first level in the ambulance service, is EMT, right? In the paid service. And then it could be the actually senior person at a volunteer ambulance. Let's say it's an EMR and an EMT, for example, right? And some volunteers may not have EMRs at all, and it might just be EMT, but that depends on where you are. Just giving you an idea. Then we have the advanced EMT and the paramedic level. So the advanced EMT and paramedic level are advanced level providers. The way I like to think about it is basically besides hitting somebody with an EpiPen, which is, EMT level, of course, if anything that kind of breaks the skin, anything that's more invasive, that's a advanced EMT or paramedic. Paramedic being, the master, for example, of, EMS, cardiology, and pharmacology, where the advanced EMT gets a bunch of cool skills and a few more medication and learns a little bit more about the body and EMS. Kind of like a quarter or half of paramedic school is kind of like advanced EMT, or more cardiology and pharmacology is obviously the full paramedic level, and a few more skills as well, too. So that's the gamut of EMS. My thinking has always been this. Why not just make the advanced EMT level the first level, and then make paramedic school paramedic school? That was always my thinking, right? If you're going to have an EMT course and it's going to be, let's say, 3 months long, why couldn't we just make it 6 months long, right? And just call it EMT, but then make it the skill set of the advanced EMT. And what this would do in a lot of rural areas or in areas that are underserved, you would have a higher level of care without having the need for so many paramedics. For example, the advanced EMT level can start an IV, can do IO access. In most areas, I'm assuming, there's obviously always exceptions, but in most areas, advanced EMT can walk up, do an IV, give you dextrose, give you glucagon, wake you up out of, hypoglycemia. We don't need a medic for that. The advanced EMT can do it. You know what I'm saying with this? So you have a higher level of care that can do more things, has more skills, has more knowledge in areas where the paramedic may be limited.
Now, I see where he's going here, and I've always kind of wondered along the same thing, but I think I know the answer to why you still at least need that, at least EMR, because a lot of the volunteer fire departments, at least in this area, aren't all staffed with EMTs, or very rarely are any of them staffed with paramedics in our area. There may be a paramedic who also works for an ambulance service or the hospital or Life Flight or something like that, who is also a volunteer on that fire station, but in 9 times out of 10, they cannot act in their paramedic role. They're not, because the station isn't licensed or something along those lines. There's always some red tape so they can't act in those ways. They don't have the equipment. So my guess would be you still have to have at least an EMR, in my opinion, because you still need someone, even if it's just one less person. A lot of the volunteer fire personnel that I know of, and again, I'm talking about a very specific area of Pennsylvania where I live, a lot of them are older, a lot of them are established, and they don't necessarily want to go for the extra school. A lot of them, quite frankly, don't even want to go to medical calls. They want to go to the fires. But hey, I don't want to go to a fire. I mean, I'll go to a fire. I don't want to fight a fire. Yeah, I see where he's saying. I like where that thought is going, because I've always wanted to go on to advanced EMT level and learn the skills, but in my area, it's not a recognized position. Pennsylvania recognizes it, but the organization that I work in, it's not a recognized level, only by the hospital, only because we have paramedics. There's no need for the AEMT. Even though I think it would be handy, especially in high critical situations, where you could have 2 people if there isn't 2 paramedics on scene, you could have 2 IVs being established if need be before things going. And other little things that having the knowledge would be helpful on. All right, let's keep going.
That was always my thinking. And then when people start off at EMS, they're starting off at a higher level of training. Maybe the paramedic level training gets a boost for example, and starts to learn more of the critical care stuff. So the whole profession, basically, my idea was to give the whole profession a boost. So, for example, what you might learn
I definitely
at like a flight
understand his
paramedic or
mindset
critical care
here.
level, make that the paramedic level. And then, what you learn at advanced EMT, just make that the EMT level. And just have 2 simple levels. 1, 2. That was always my mindset. What are your thoughts on this? One of the questions I get
interesting.
often as the paramedic coach.
Oh, it did not, but something died here, so this will be an interesting edit through here. Fantastic. Can't wait. Let's keep going. We're gonna back this up some to this part.
That was always my mindset. What are your thoughts on this?
All right, so I don't know what happened. My computer just decided to kind of reboot, but it didn't shut anything down. We'll see where this cuts, and we'll go. But this is the second part where we're going to start at.
One of the questions I get often as the paramedic coach: do I have to write papers? Do I have to, do math? Do I have to take math classes? What do I have to take to get into EMT school or get into paramedic school, right? My thought is we have a shortage of EMTs and paramedics
Truth.
in America right now.
Truth.
So why are we making...
We are also underpaid for what we do. It is crazy that I can do the same job as someone who works in the hospital, but they have all the controlled status of being in a hospital. And I have I'm in the field and I have a totally different set of skills, or not skills, same set of skills, but totally different set of circumstances. And a lot of times where I don't have that controlled status, or me and my partner don't have that controlled status. And we are paid literally half of a lot of that. It's not a gripe, because if you're doing this job for the money anyway, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. But I do believe we have a shortage, and the ones that we do have don't get paid enough.
The barrier so high in some areas to get into paramedic school? Why not try to invite more people in? What I mean by that is, for example, I have heard, and I don't know if it's true in every area, it might not be true in every area, but what does random math placements, what does random math classes that have nothing to do with the job of an EMT or a paramedic? You have to get at this certain level of math, this certain level of English to enter this course. I have never in my life believed in any of that. A lot of EMS and a lot of jobs in general, most jobs in general, don't require that. If we know how to read and write and do very, very, very simple medical math, which you're going to learn in class anyway, it's based on formulas. Why are we forcing people to take random math and English classes in order to, now you can get into paramedic school. Now you can get into this program. It's something that I disagree with, because I feel that people get scared by that. And when they get scared by that, I wish there was a change in that. Because I see it scare some students, because I'm the one as the paramedic coach getting those messages, because I can see people on the ground talking about this.
The only reason I can think about that is think of the reason why you might need some sort of specific math class is for the critical thinking part of it. I'm not familiar with the paramedic type stuff of what you need to, like any pre-entry level stuff to get into paramedic school. I'm not aware of that, so I can't comment on exactly what it might be, but I could imagine that it would have to do with critical thinking. That's the only thing I can think of.
Right. So that's what I would do. I'd make it easier to get in, right? Do you know simple math? Which everyone knows. If you have a high school diploma, you know enough math and have enough English to enter a program. That should be it. Enter it, right? The other thing that I personally disagree with is the idea of the way that we rank up in EMS is by getting a college degree. I don't believe in that. I believe in the best person for the job, the best medic for the job, the best leader for the job. the person most respected by their peers for the job
Yep.
should get the job, should get the promotion. Not just because, oh, this person has the most credentials, right? I just
Credentials
don't agree
mean
with that.
shit.
I don't agree with that idea of credentialism of, oh, well, if you want to be, a ranking officer at this place, you got to get your bachelor's or master's. When the majority of that content in that bachelor's or master's has nothing to do at all with what you're going to be doing inside of EMS. Now, I
kind of completely agree with that in these days, a lot of college degrees anyway, because a lot of the college degrees that people are going for because they think they're easy are for the most part useless when they get out into the real world. Me personally, I have a personal reason why I don't want to go on to paramedic, and that's because I already have 8 years of school behind me, 8 years of college behind me, and I have no degree. A little bit of tidbit information there. 8 years of college, no degree. We won't talk about why. But I don't want more college. I've had more college than most. I would pretty much imagine a majority of the people I work with, and majority of people in the EMT paramedic level probably have. I have more years of actual college and advanced schooling, but I just don't have a degree for it. So I agree, I can't rank up, and I'm limited at what I do. I'm also limited because I don't want to move on to paramedics. So I can understand that, but I do understand the point he said. I don't think college is for everyone anymore. The trades are where a lot of things are these days, and they can get paid a lot more than some of these people who are coming out with useless degrees. All right, let's finish this up.
guarantee you, some of you listening to this disagree with me. I guarantee that you do. Some of you may agree and go, oh no, he's speaking the truth, speaking the gospel here. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear the feedback on this. What do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? But hearing, as the paramedic coach, getting messages from people that are working and students, this is kind of the consensus that I've gotten. Now, a lot of you asked in the comments about how to prepare for school, how to get through school, and how to pass NREMT. The first link in the description is a study tool that I give to all my students to accomplish all of that. It's called the Video Vault. Inside the Video Vault is over
It is a great product, I will tell you
videos
that.
of content, audio files, worksheets, practice quizzes, our community group. What I do in the Video Vault is take all the concepts you need to know to pass school at NREMT, and I break them down simply for you, so that way you just follow along with the videos, you follow the study plan, and you pass. I give my students lifetime access in the first link in the description, and I'll see you on the inside.
Yeah, I was gonna let him. Definitely was. I had every plan if he was gonna shill his program. Definitely gonna let him, because it is a good program. I got it when I was going through EMT school, and it is a great help. It's a great study guide, and if I was going on for more, it is a great refresher course to go through things. Yeah. So a lot of good questions asked in here. Let's talk. Yeah, a lot of good questions asked in here, and the big one being, what should EMS do in the future? He has a lot of good ideas. I agree with some of them, and I agree with most of them, I would actually say. But I am very intrigued by the 2 levels versus 4 levels, and then some of them have their sub levels as well. Because I understand what he's saying, but I also understand why it is what it is. I know in this area, it would be hell for some of our super rural areas to have to start out with an EMT level stuff that is now the advanced EMT level, because there's just not going to be enough people in that area who are going to do it, where they may have some EMRs and an EMT or two. A lot of our rurals you hear on the dispatch all the time, or on the radio after dispatch, EMT or driver needed, which probably means they had a driver, or they had at least one of the two there. So there's a lot of people. We definitely have a shortage of staffing for EMTs and paramedics. I agree that more people should be easier for more people to get into. If you guys have any comments, any questions, hit me up in the comments below. I'll answer what I can. Hit me up on Discord. We can discuss. My partner's also on our Discord, so he'll be happy to answer things too, especially on the paramedic side, because he knows a lot more about that than I do. All right. If you enjoyed this, like, subscribe the video. That's going to be the last video for EMS week, because Saturday doesn't have a theme for whatever reason. Can't tell you why. But this will be the last one. I hope you enjoyed this little session. I know it didn't get a lot of views at this point, but that's all right. This wasn't done for the views. It was done for anyone who wanted to see it. I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll catch you all next time.